Alright, well, we will see how this goes. Alright. Alright. Okay, like so. Okay, alright. Okay. So, for those of you just now tuning in, this is going to be a test to see the capabilities of live streaming. For those of you just now tuning in, I'm extremely nasally right now because I am sick as a dog. See the capabilities of live streaming. For those of you just now tuning in, oh Lord, it's playing back. I'm sorry. I have committed a sin already. Alright. Problem solved. For now. I'm still ironing out all of this crap. Alright. Alright, now we're just gonna spend some time making some comic panels. Partizansky. Alright. The great thing with pencil is you could erase it. Alright. So, then what we need to do is section this up into, I would say, 2 panels. 2 panels is good enough. Right there, and right there. Straighten that out just a little bit, make it a little bit more professional. Alright, I think we got that in check. Alright, I'm just going to move some stuff around on my little dashboard. That way I can see what I'm doing in real time, as opposed to stream time, I guess. Okay, so next thing we want to do is we take the bold Faber-Castell marker, or art pen, and then we flip the ruler around. That way it doesn't smear when you remove the ruler. And what we do is we put it right on the line, and we're always going to have the line coming down towards us. So we're going to bring that right there, bring the line down towards us, stop right there, bring the line down towards us, and it appears this pen is dying on me. So I'm just going to throw that right in the trash. And I'm going to open up a brand new one. Headphone listeners, you should be really happy about this. There we go. Alright. Now, let's try that again. What we're going to do is we're going to get it right on that line, like so. And then we're just going to draw a black line going all the way up to that line and all the way up to that line. Alright, perfect. It's going to look a little weird, but whatever, we'll get over it. As long as the content is good, the framing doesn't really matter. As long as people get it, it's fine. Besides, in Photoshop, you can always blacken out the borders, so it doesn't really matter. Or you can just, clean it up all the way. That's the great thing about computers now. You can easily fix traditional media. At least some people say at that point it's no longer traditional media, but I beg to differ. You can see the difference between something that's hand-drawn and something that's done in a computer. I'm not saying either one is superior than the other. Both of them have their greatness and weaknesses. I just feel it's a lot easier to draw on something that's physically there. It pains me to try to use computer for drawing, especially with the pad that I have. It's a Wacom bamboo pad, and it's just so disjointed to draw. Like, it's so disjointed to draw with your hands, but your eyes are looking in a completely different direction from your hands. Many people might have the same issue with what's the term? I don't remember. Extremely unfiltered podcast. All right. What will the actual subject be? It's a good question. Let's just tilt this way. Check how the stream is doing. Doing this all on my own, so you must excuse me. I'm probably going to have this go on for maybe an hour or two. We'll see how it goes. Alright. First thing we want to do is draw a face. And that's fairly simple. Make a weird kind of fucked up J. It's backwards. Draw a little T in the middle. That's going to be the nose. Draw a little mouth. This person's going to be a little bit agitated, maybe even a little bit worried. Now we're going to do one eye like this, the other eye like so. Make these extremely shadowed eyes. Doesn't really matter because what ends up happening is, I don't like this people's. What ends up happening is that the image will actually change a lot once the inking process takes place. So we're just sketching it out real quick. All right. This person is really distraught. Like so. And then we're just going to, like if you were going to draw grass, we're going to draw the hair. So it's just really quick movements, some of them frilling outwards. Like so. Want to keep everything extremely light, that way you can erase it later. Or if you have the cash or the know-how, you can get a light table, and then you can pencil everything on one piece of paper and then put a light table underneath it, and what that does, it allows you to trace. So then you can trace your own image with ink, that way you don't actually have to erase, which is really nice, and I'm probably going to start doing that more. It's just for this, I just wanted to test out how it goes. And you're going to hear me say that a lot. Okay. Alright, the next step is shoulder, chest, like this. Have a defined shadow underneath the chest, like so. Arms kind of outwards as to denote, to show urgency. I'm not going to start using words that don't mean what they mean. I have a bad habit of doing that. I am a foreigner, you know. I come from a mystical land filled with schnitzer. Alright. So, let's just add a text box right here. Alright, and we can ink that in a moment. Alright, the second panel. In the chat, someone asks, how are you today? I'm doing fantastic. I wish there was a way that I could put the chat on the screen, that way when people see this in the future, you know. Oh, I'll figure it out later. As said, and will be said many times, this is a test. I guess I'm just going to ink this right now. I don't know. And everyone's drawing method is a little different. The best way to draw is the most effective way for you, and that's always important. Ooh, boy oh boy, I kind of messed that up. Oh, that's simple. You can fix that, no problem. Just make the face a little thinner. It's because I'm drawing at a weird angle. Maybe if I tilt my head forward a little bit. Hope that doesn't get into frame. I think you can see the microphone. Alright, there we go. Boy howdy. See? The image starts taking up a life of its own once you ink. And if you make a little mistake like that, don't be disheartened, because it's very easy to fix that by hand. And if not, then you can always fix it in the computer, which is a plus. You just be sure to have a really good high quality scanner. If you can't afford a scanner, then wait for a really nice day, and then you can take a picture of it outside. You want to be sure to get a lot of light when you take a picture, though. Otherwise, you're going to get a lot of grains when you have all of that like pixely shit, and nobody really wants to see that. Also, make sure that you don't take a picture at a weird angle. Otherwise, it takes away from the image quality. It really does. How am I going to cover this? I know. We're going to take the black. We're just going to layer in some black here. And then eventually we're just going to fill it out. And once again, we're going to do that on this side. That way it looks like it wasn't a mistake. It'll be our little secret. Hi, I'm the Anthro Bob Ross. Yeah, and then after that it can just be filled in. In fact, instead of using this really nice pen to fill it in, you can always use a Sharpie marker. To get really close, I'm going to use the fine point pen. This is a S pen from Faber-Castell. This is a Pitt Artist pen. The equivalent would be something along the lines of a Copic pen, possibly size 0.3, I believe. That's always a good size to work with on this sized paper. Boy, oh boy. I can see the difficulty in doing something like this. For one thing, you always have to constantly think about what you're going to say to an audience. That's tough. I don't think I have the stream of consciousness skills to constantly talk about something. But I'll try. And I'll try to do it in the least annoying voice possible, because some people online have some really annoying voices, and they do like hour-long podcasts. Just gonna keep it like a regular low tone. Now, one thing that's really important to note with images of any kind, even if it's like still photography, video capture, or what have you, is contrast. Contrast is really important because the human eye can distinguish the difference between quality, but it can distinguish differences in contrast more. So if your image has a lot of lights and darks, the human eye will catch that up more than if something has more resolution. That's why black and white films hold up so well, quality-wise, even if they're really grainy and miskept. Granted, there are a lot of black and white movies that shouldn't survive the test of time, but, there's always an audience for something. Heck, what I draw has this very specific audience, and most people who like it are very fanatical about it, and those who don't like it are very fanatical against it. I get a lot of love comments, and I get a lot of hate comments for the content I create, but that's just something you got to deal with when you're on the computer. Honestly, I wouldn't actually take any stock in what a lot of people say. It's nice to hear good comments, but sometimes you feel like the subject that they're commenting on, maybe your video or your picture was kind of a piece of shit and you didn't really like it. And you always got to be careful of not smelling your own farts when it comes to art. You always want to be improving yourself. I always think my art looks like crap, but you know what? I've seen other people's art, and I mainly do this because there aren't a lot of people who draw specifically what I want to see, so I'm filling in that gap. Don't get disheartened from any mean comments, because you know what? You're never going to meet that person in real life. You're never going to meet that person in real life, and chances are very good you're never going to meet that person ever again. If they constantly keep commenting on your stuff, your work, and just constantly berate you, that just means that you're taking up their time, and you know what? In that case, you kind of won the argument. Draw that fucking... Oop. Just make that really big. There we go. Amerikansky Moldavansky. I've been listening to a lot of Russian music. Been looking up the copyright situation of that, and apparently the copyright still holds strong on a lot of Russian music once they join the European Union. So sadly, I can't play any Russian music in this stream. I mean, I could listen to it, but it'd be kind of difficult and a pain in the ass. It's going to end up being me talking, and I don't know. We'll find out if people like my voice or not. We can add in background details later. I don't even know Russian. That's the even funnier thing. Alright, let's draw the second panel here. Let's have this character puff up. So, we're going to draw a circle here. Whenever you draw inflation stuff, it always ends up being circles. A lot of people ask, what attracts you to inflation, because it's a very unnatural thing to be into. That's probably it right there, is the fact that it's unnatural. It's a very strange thing. In my case, I can't speak for anyone else, but in my case, it was based off of the media that I grew up with. A lot of the stuff that I had jokes in it, or gags where somebody blows up, like Tom and Jerry, or that kind of jazz. And I guess psychologically I took it a completely different way than most people would. That's okay. I'm not saying that I'm superior to anyone. In fact, in that regard, I might be a little inferior, but, we all have to exist, right? Alright. So there we have our stomach and our chest. We can draw the head tilted up, like so. I draw a distressed face on there. I don't know if you can pick that up on the camera just yet. But you know what? We'll just give this character some really big eyes. You know, eyes of surprise. And this is a technique that's ended up used in a lot of Japanese stuff where they kind of go cross-eyed, but you know, if you really think about it, the way that the human eye focuses on things is that they kind of do go cross-eyed to see things in the close to mid distance. So it's just visual shorthand. Some people will get it, some people won't, but you know. Draw a shirt there. You know, for what I don't possess in skill, I do make up for in speed. And that's a very bad thing to think about. I think quality should precede over quantity, but, you know. We cannot all be perfect. I think anyone's perfect. Draw an exclamation mark. Some speed lines. Alright. I don't know why I'm using the bold pen. Let's use the regular pen. There we go. Draw some ridges there, that way you can see that the shirt is rippling up. Once again, just visual shorthand. You don't want to linger too much on the paper, otherwise you'll create an ink spot, and you don't really want that. What you want to do is you want to kind of quickly make your marks. The way I got into drawing anthro characters is they're very easy to draw. That's about it. I do kind of have an affinity for them, but mainly on a very superficial level. They're just an interesting subject matter to draw. Because I think that with cartoon animals, you can show a lot of public satire without being overtly, I don't know, offensive. Because in the end of the day, they're just animals, you know. You can explain a lot. I mean, just look at Animal Farm. That's a story that talks about communism. It's anti-communist, and yet all the characters are animals. So I think having animals or animal people as main characters does have some merit. Not only that, with the movie Zootopia, even though it was a very simplistic film, and I feel that the plot could have been better, I do see the interesting potential for world building because of all the different types of animals and the scales of animals. Instead of having them all like human proportions, they're all still animal proportioned. So things have to be different scales, things have to be different, you know, things have to be different sizes in order for them to work in that society. So that's pretty dope, I guess. A lot of people give stuff shit for being anthro. I don't think that's justified. I do think if it's pornographic or something along those lines, you do have a case, but when it's just harmless, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You know, some people are very sensitive about sexuality, and that's perfectly acceptable. You know, some people just don't want to deal with that on a regular day basis. But I do. I'm fucking ape. Jesus. We're all creatures on a rock that fucking die. getting introspective now. Alright. Here we go. Not the best thing ever. Once again, this is just like right off the top of my head. It's like the basic kind of expansion image that you can possibly make. You know, step 1, show person. Step 2, show them blown up. I mean, it isn't the toughest thing to draw. But I think, as a test, this will do most excellency. Most excellency. God. Do you get it? I'm European. I am not of your world, America. Although I'm not as crazy with my accent as PewDiePie. I cannot stand his voice. I'm pretty sure he's a very loving and wonderful person, but goodness gravy. You know, sometimes you just can't listen to someone. Fred was popular once. I never liked him. A lot of people were like, oh, the next Fred video's out. And I was just like, oh, God, the next Fred video. I mean, as of one video concept would go, I think the concept of Fred worked. But trying to span it out as your entire shtick, oh, let's just hope there aren't no Alvin and the Chipmunks movies in the future for that guy. I mean, I want him to do well. Don't get me wrong. I mean, everyone has the desire to do well and the passion to do well. It's just, I just feel that shtick offers nothing. I saw his movie. It had some really, I mean, the best thing about it was John Cena. And he's barely in it. Which, you know, why isn't John Cena in any movies outside of The Marine? Was he in The Marine? I don't remember. He was in some action movie. He should have been in more. He's a very charismatic guy. Wrestlers in general are very charismatic people. Alright. Whatever. This character can say whatever. It doesn't really matter. For posterity's sake, let's add some of that black in there again. You know, there are a lot of people who bash on anime with the halo hair. It's just, once again, visual shorthand. As long as it gets the point across that the person has a head, I don't think it really matters. And a lot of people say, oh, well, you can't just say that just because it's a style doesn't mean it's crap. Well, you know, hundreds of people sat down, spent millions of dollars to animate something. You know, as long as the story is good, it doesn't really matter. As long as the story is good and the voice acting's good, you can get away with a lot. I mean, you could get away with, like, still shots. Alright, so here we got first image, second image. Super simple. If I could find it, I would use my stamp. There it is. You're going to get a lot of camera jiggling in a moment. Alright. So we have our character blown up like a balloon, like a cartoon. Alright, it's close to the top. Let's hope that worked. Yep. Alright. And then let's just put 2017 on there. "2017 live." Nice. Alright. Now all we need to do is give it a moment to dry a little bit. If you want, we can zoom in once again to see the image. There and there. And then that should be good enough, really. we take our eraser. We got to make sure that this is the right eraser, otherwise we'll mess up the whole thing. Let's see. Yeah, this is good. All right. Then we just gently erase it right off the top. And then what we can do is we can fill in some missed areas, because sometimes your brain thinks something's inked, but on paper it doesn't really show up. Let's get this pen out of here. There we go. Alright. I'll try to have music on next time. I need to find some royalty-free tracks. I don't trust the ones that are on YouTube, because any schmuck could have just taken, like, copyrighted music and said, oh yeah, this is royalty-free. The thing is, just because the written work of something that's royalty-free, like sheet music, well, let's say Beethoven, the sheet music is royalty-free, yes, but the performance by, like, the symphony orchestra would be copyrighted. So that's something you always have to look out for. This is just busy work, really. There's no real creative work behind this. You just have to be careful not to crinkle up the sides of the paper while erasing. Alright, there we go. Work more at the bottom. Yes. Alright. Oh boy, oh boy. Might as well find something else to talk about. Something random, I guess. I saw Rogue One. I'm really late to the party on that one, but it was okay. I would say on the level of movie making, it's a simple story, like Escape from New York, and if you see it like that, I mean, it'll be entertaining. It's a lot like Escape from New York, but in space. It's very 1980s. People look stoic, don't really say much, go on an action adventure, and at the end, a lot of people die. That's about it. I mean, original Star Wars was guys need to get a thing. Once they get thing, they need to destroy big thing. I mean, there's a lot of little tiny things that happen during that, but the big scheme of things, nothing really subversive there. Very straightforward plot, straightforward good guys and bad guys. At least with Rogue One, they muddled the line of good guy and bad guy. They also gave, stock in the fact that spies exist in that universe. It's kind of hinted to in a lot of the other movies, but never really felt. Alright, then what we want to do is we want to dump all the eraser shavings right in the garbage. Alright. I think I left my brush in the car. I went drawing outside a few days ago. The weather was really nice. Ah, boy. Let's draw some extra lines there to fill that out. Haha, pun intended. Alright, then we want an arm here. Let's just add some extra lines if this pen will cooperate. Okay, we can add a little bit more black right in here. Boom. You don't want to add too much at once, because you'll start to rip up the paper, and that's not good. Not only that, you can always boost the contrast in on the computer, and it saves you a lot of ink. If I get to actually scanning this and putting it on the computer, maybe I'll actually show how that works. If not, I'll save it for a future episode if I do more. Alright, so we have our image here. Once again, we're just going to zoom in for quality's sake. Alright, going to hold on that for a moment, just in case the capture's acting funky. And we're going to do that. Oh darn. And that's about it for that one. We'll put that off to the side. We're going to do a new one, but first I'm going to hit my vape because I quit smoking. Oh, that's good. All right. Okay. Since this is marked on, we'll just put this right underneath. That way it can be our scrap paper. And we'll draw the next image. Okay. So let's see here. What are we going to draw this time? Oh, I know. I think we can draw a big boobed lady. I think YouTube will allow that. She'll be wearing a shirt, but I think we'll get over that. There's been a lot worse on YouTube. There are actual pregnancies on YouTube that get squirted out. You're like, that is disgusting. I think instead of doing something really generic, we can actually try for something nice this time. Draw something interesting and then, leave it at that. Okay. So let's see. Let's think. You know what? Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. The one thing when drawing comics or cartoon characters or anything is you need to know what your audience is seeing your art on. If it's a computer, you tend to want to have it in the rectangle shape of the computer. You want it to be portrait. Not portrait, you want it to be landscape, my bad. When you do like printed out media, you want it to be portrait, which is this long ways. Let's draw the ears. Let's make them really long for no reason. Alright. There we go. Let's add a little fluff inside the ears. Let's put the nose a little bit lower. That way it looks like the character has a longer snout. Just a little bit like that. Let's make this person look like an action hero. So, very angled eyes. And remember, in the pencil phase, you can always erase, add on, take away, straighten things out. You have the time to do that. Let's add some eyebrows. That's one thing that I always do from Japanese cartoons is the eyebrow. Like if there's a headband or hair, the eyebrows always take precedent over those, even though in reality that wouldn't be the case. Let's add a thicker eyelashes. There we go. A big scar right over the face. There we go. Looks like an action hero. Alright, put the neck down there. Maybe the top of a tank top right there. And then we're going to draw a V that comes out way wide like that. I hope this shows up on the screen because it's really light. And the light I have is bright. Hopefully that gets rid of a lot of the blur that happens. A lot of people don't have enough light and all of their shit ends up really pixely. Alright, and then what we do is we connect all of that with the chest, like this. Bring it around like that. And that's one thing a lot of people don't seem to realize when they type comments like, oh, you're a monster, you're a terrible person, how could you do something like this? in reality, I'm just a guy. I found something I like to do, and I do it just because. Hopefully somebody, we could change somebody's mind in their way of thinking. But, knowing the volatile nature of the internet, I don't think that's going to happen. People are very quick to judge and then throw on the side for the next thing. And then we just add the rest of the tank top at the bottom. We can add some camouflage. Once again, we can just erase most of this crap. It's even better just to do the camouflage straight up in ink. That way you don't have to erase all of the patterns. I had kind of like a 4-pack at the bottom. Like that. And then we have that go into the pants. And hips. Really wide hips. Because why not? I mean, we're already generated to something along these lines. Oh, there we go. Man, those fucking comments stopped real quick. Hope I didn't get reported on anything. Who knows? Oh, the stream health is terrible. That's probably why. Let's make the mouth kind of like that. Let's give her a cigarette. She's a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. I need to get a better computer if I want to keep doing something like this. But this is what I gotta deal with for now. Maybe if I lowered the stream settings, maybe then it will not shit the bed. But once again, this is a test. Draw the hand before drawing the gun. We don't even know what the gun is going to be. Let's have it project back a little more. Let's just have it be an unrealistic, I don't know, automatic pistol. Start adding vector shapes and then flesh them out with the ink. Boom. Got ourselves a magazine. Oh god, that's going to sound terrible. Sorry. Add like a breech block, even though it's on the wrong side. Visual shorthand. It doesn't have to be correct as long as people know what it is. I don't know. Let's add a scope for no earthly reason. Yeah, right over the breech block, so, the scope's gonna eat shell casings. That's whatever. It's not like the covers of Seagal movies ever sold you on the movie either. Other arm can be down here. Add a glove here. This one can have, I don't know. I guess this can could have maybe a radio or a detonator. That would always be good. A very cartoonish detonator indeed. Just a box with an antenna. Pretty sure actual detonators look a little bit more sophisticated. I'm pretty sure they serve the same function as a box with an antenna, but they probably have safety measures involved, like something that you have to press down and click onto. Add a little bit more detail there. Now we have a big, busty, unrealistic action heroine. Add a tail for good measure, like so. Oh Lord, somebody in the chat just asked me, what is your name? Artist Cathgood. I'm never going to pronounce any of these names correctly, so my apologies in advance. Asked what pencil lead am I using in this generic pencil. The pencil lead that came with it. So it's just a number 2 pencil. Very simple. That gets the job done, easy to erase. If you can get blue pencil, like the not blueprint shit, but like blue pencil lead, specifically for drafting, because that stuff doesn't show up on scanners as much, so you'll actually avoid the headache of having to fix a lot of stuff in post. But once again, if you just use the light table method I brought up before, or you pencil it on one page and then use a light table to trace it in ink, that's also acceptable. Tracing is fine, as long as you're tracing your own shit. It's basically what inking is anyways. You're just tracing over what you just drew. I think as long as the final product is your own, you can get pretty creative in how you get there. Some people use like actual pictures of people as reference. That's perfectly acceptable as long as you're not just reposting the reference images. Let's just fully round out these eyes, add some bags under them, like that. Put that scar right across the face. Let's kind of have it like that. Draw the nose, lips, cartoonishly large cigarette. Some cigarette butts coming off of it. Cigarette butts. That's not what those are called. Ashes are what that should be. Alright. Add some extra smoke there. Just gentle like that. Add the hair. I have no intentions of digitally coloring these, so I don't have to fill in the lines. It's a very artistic license on that. I mean, as long as the image looks good and it represents what you think it was supposed to represent, there's not much more. There's not much more you can ask from that. All right. And if you're drawing larger people in very strange, scales, if you draw the head tiny, that always exemplifies how large the rest of them is. Add a neck shadow, as if they were being lit from above, like that. And those do happen. Let's add some lines coming across the face. There we go. I'm just going to fill this in with the pen. There we go. Might also maybe do some video games, maybe also show the process of making videos, animating, all that other kind of stuff. So if you guys are interested in that, leave a comment in the comment section once this video is reposted. Yeah, let me know what you think. And that. Shoulders, little hair, cartoon fox cat person thing. You can add a little hair on the shoulders. It's not going to kill anyone. God, I'm sick. My eyes are burning. That's alright though. There we go. We can just do the shirt and the bobbles, the boobles. Lara Croft, eat your heart out. Now, unlike on digital art where you can just draw like half the image and then copy it to the other side, you kind of have to worry about proportioning when drawing traditional. It's not to say you can't fix it in the computer, but sometimes it's a real pain. So you always want to keep your eye out on that. There we go. If you got your own pencils, draw along, my friends. It's within the legal guidelines of YouTube, so I don't think I'm going to have that much of a problem. Boy, boy. Ahoy, hoy. There we go. Attach the shirt to that side. Add some stress lines, because... There we go. Be a little darker around the top. Okay. Camouflage, and it's going to be a completely different pattern than when we actually drew on, because that one kind of blew. There we go, and then one more here. There we go. We got our camouflage shirt. Draw the hair. Once again, it's like drawing grass. You just kind of do some squiggles. Some weird shit going outside. I'm not even going to mention it. Draw the large ear this side. Bums. And bang. Draw the little hair fuzzes. Draw on this side. Come back. Down. Alright, I'm going to fix that up a little bit. Whoop. And we're going to add the hair fuzzes again. go. We're not going to finish up the hair around the smoke trails. That way it looks like the smoke is actually creating something, that's obfuscative. I don't even know that's a word. Not my first language. Bam. Got ourselves a tail. It's a fox character, I guess. We can draw that there. Let's add just a tiny mark there. Like a face tattoo or something. I don't know, that just popped into my mind. Thought it'd look cool, so try it out. I don't hold much stock into a lot of the images that I draw, but except for a very, very few particular comic images. Man, my brain is on fire tonight. Yeah. Shit. Bam. Maybe if I do a live show, I could do segments. Maybe one segment on animation, one segment on drawing. I'm not entirely sure. I'm still thinking about it. Of course, there'll be like 2 or 3 people who are like, "You should just die of cancer," and I humbly respect that. I wish people who commented on videos actually had criticisms about those videos. It would make life so much easier. Instead, it's always stuff that doesn't really have anything to do with the video. At least, with my videos, it's very, very obvious. Oh, this is just the worst autismo art. Okay, thank you. Thank you for berating my mental status. And also making people who do have autism seem way worse than they actually are. Thank you. Very sensitive person. I'm sorry. I go on very strange diatribes, some of them more PC than others. Fucking Rockadoodle's a shitty movie. I like it though. It's like the Room of animated movies. Not really. It has a really good director. Freaking... what's his name? Don Bluth. It's just, wow, what a misstep that movie was. It's like, we're gonna have a story about a weird Elvis chicken, and we're gonna animate the fuck out of this movie. Let's hope it does well. And it didn't. There's a song in that movie called "We're Running Out of Batteries," and whenever I talk about that movie, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Yep. Let's fill in this. I think I might do one more picture. Seems just right. You know what, let's just add some camouflage on the pants too. Might as well. I still don't know if I'm going to color this or not. Probably not. If I do, maybe I'll give it to my girlfriend. She could fucking color it in. She's better at that shit than I am. Oh boy. I hate coloring. It takes up way too much time. For animations, it's worth it, but for just regular images, I don't really like it. I've constantly tried to test new methods of coloring quickly, but none of them seem to make a dent. Draw the magazine. I'm someone who's around guns all the time. I mean, in the end, they're just a tool. They're a pipe that sits down on the ground and does nothing. For them to be used, you have to kind of be you have to pick it up, load it, prime it, aim it, fire it. Without any of those steps, pistols really, guns in general, don't do anything. There are still people who contest to that. And I don't understand how the logic of that works, but whatever. Let's add a dot here. There's a person in the stream right now who I'm working an animation on. Let's hope that works out. I really like his style. I don't know if I should say his name, though. I'll talk about it with him. Or maybe you can talk about it, I don't know. I am really, really sick right now. There we go. Add like a weird hand grip to it. Remember, lines don't need to be straight. As long as people get the point and the art looks fairly solid, I think it works. Okay, cool. Yeah. Imagine 23, who has Project Akita, or Akita, the show. Does animations, and I'm going to be helping on that. I'm going to do some backgrounds. I'm going to animate a sequence, so I look forward to doing that. I do like animating, but a lot of it's handmade. A lot of it's done with paper and pen, mainly because I think once again, I think the disconnect is too big for me for the computer, but I can still scan it in, make the lines look nicer on the computer, and then put it into the animation studio, and it looks basically exactly the same. It's just stuff. Alright, jagged lines here because it's going to be a weird gun that doesn't actually exist. I mean, it kind of looks like an Uzi or a MAC-10, but, a lot of people confuse the Uzi for the MAC-10. They're very similar looking guns, but in design, they're very different. The MAC-10 is extremely simple in comparison to the Uzi. It's just stylistically, the MAC-10 looks more interesting, in my opinion. It's just like a brick with a huge suppressor on it. But that's me again. Like, I like cars that are blocky, like the 1973 Bricklin. It was a very experimental sports car from Canada. Apparently, that car had a very intricate bumper system, so if you slammed against a wall at 50 miles an hour, you'd be perfectly fine. It didn't get produced as much, though, because the guy behind the project scammed the government for cash. So the project was like immediately scrapped, and there are only like a few thousand of them on the planet, but they're pretty cheap, probably because you can't find parts for them. Man, I am talking about nothing. Alright. Let's put that scope there. For no good reason other than to have one. I have a rifle. I was thinking about putting a scope on it, but I think the iron sights are good enough. I think sometimes scopes might be a little overboard. I mean, as long as your eyesight is really good, you'll be able to hit something. The rest of it's just like the technique of how you shoot. In martial arts training, the biggest thing is to be calm in a state of unrest. So the person who stays the calmest in a battle is normally the person who succeeds, because less failures are due to ensue or going to ensue. I don't know. Let's add some fucking detail lines there. Have it curve kind of to the side like that. I'd say that's done. We can add an explosion in the background later. Maybe some extra text or something, but for now I think this image is complete. Let's add the stamp of approval. Boop. The C kind of fucked up. Hold up, I gotta fix this a little bit. Boop, 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 boop. And let's add 2017 live. Alright. Yeah, I think that's about it for that image. If we want, we can frame it up a little bit closer. Let's hope that it stays in focus. Get a few seconds, because sometimes the image will do weird things. Alright, I think that's good enough. Put that to the side. I'll erase the pencil later. I'm just going to get into the next image. Alright. Okay. What should this next image be? I think one more would be good enough. Let's put this over here. Let's think about the next image, shall we? I'm looking around my room for inspiration. I guess I'll draw something really 80s. I don't know. The last thing was kind of 80s, but I think if I go overboard, it'll be fun. Oh, I just tipped the camera a little bit. It's on a little rig above me. Alright. So, 1980s. Let's have the person's head looking this way. Let's have it not be anthro, or at least more anime-ish. I don't know if many of you watched Homestar Runner, but there's always that great strong bad moment where he talks about anime, and he's like, the first thing you gotta start with is the head, and it's a little bean. Stupid blue hair. That crap. What a show. Apparently that's back. I haven't watched it. I think it's been gone too long. Let's go overboard with this. Fuck it. It's gonna be the last image. I don't like the shape of that head. Sorry if you hear me breathing a lot. It's, I'm very, stuffy right now. And that's no good. I'm gonna erase a lot of this. And that's kind of better. or be smiling. The last two people weren't, so let's make this last one a happy one. Happy little cloud. Let's build some happy little trees. Copyright infringement. Alright. Gotta put a lot more detail into the hair if you're gonna go 80s. Mainly because people really like to go really fucking bizarre with the hair. It's kind of where anime hair came from, was that very specific time period, that and like the early 90s. The early 90s was like the most 80s. Everything was very, like, if you see suits from that era, they have like this crazy wing shoulder pads coming off of them and shit. Let's have this person in the foreground. Short, puffy hair, like so. And then we're just going to add, that's another thing from that time period, is the layers of fucking clothing. Too much clothing does the soul good. I think this is going to be one of my characters. Just going to add a scar there. Erase some of that eye. Draw the bust. Gonna draw the shoulder pads going upwards. Alright. Gonna draw the line going down. We're gonna draw a little pouch here. Pouch here, but this one's gonna be a lot more rectangular and off to the side. This is going to be kind of like a little bandolier pouch kind of deal. Can make the bust a little bit more robust. Ha 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 ha. I hate white people comedy. It's really bad. And I should know, I'm a white person. Oh, man. It's just a lot of humor in these kind of movies nowadays is just very awkward, standoffish kind of humor where people just stand in a room and just keep talking until somebody shuts them up. I just can't handle that. I think, my nerves can't handle that. Just add very muscular style stomach to that. Let's add a utility belt because why not? It's going to have a lot of pouches. Because nothing says superhero or supervillain quite like a fuckload of pouches. I think a lot of the problems with comedies too nowadays is there's too much improvisation and they don't actually get a lot of actors. I think what makes a comedy really good is if you get extremely serious actors to play serious roles in a world that's stupid. So like in Hot Shots, you got Charlie Sheen, who's like an Oscar-winning actor. He's in like a Vietnam movie. He's been in Wall Street. He's been in a whole bunch of like very serious dramas. And yet, he's in a goofball comedy like Hot Shots, and I think that works. Not all the jokes work, but a lot of them do. I think if the world a character lives in is crazy, but they deal with it the way a normal person would, in a normal situation, I think that's what kind of makes it funny. And nowadays, all of the characters are goofballs in a normal environment, and I don't think that really works as much. Let's add another hand here. Let's have it holding something. There we go. Have it be a very uniform item. This character always wears gloves, so it makes it very easy to draw them. Let's have it be like a shotgun. I'm not personally, I'm not a violent person, but I like violent media. I think the visceral nature of it and the very simple way that it's portrayed is very artistic. And I think nowadays it's very lacking. A lot of it's covered up by shaky cameras and whatnot. Filmed a few short films of my own, and I think a lot of the action in those is a lot better than... That's always the problem. You can have a movie with a lot of really good action but shit story, or you can have a really good movie with story but not a whole lot of good action. I think Bond movies find the middle ground of that. Serviceable action, okay story. So we have our character there, like that. Let's add like a bandana or something around the arm, just because we can. It's a useless detail, but whatever. Maybe she likes wearing those. Draw a line, then a leaf. There we go. Put a knot in between that, and voila, we have a bandage or whatever. Draw the clothes around it, kind of crinkling around it like that. Add some extra lines. Boom. Alright, so that's the character in the foreground holding a shotgun. Let's draw something in the background. Maybe a ballooned up character. Alright. Big eye, big surprise. Looking in the mid-distance, so cross eyes. Upturned eyebrows. Frazzled hair, although all of it's frazzled. That's another thing that I like about cartoon animal characters. You can emote a lot more with the position of where the ears are. And of course, since this is YouTube, we'll have a shirt on. Shirt. So, we'll have that go over that, add a shirt, have that go over that, add a shirt. There we go. Round that off in the back, like that. Have the arm look really puffy, have the hands go outwards. Bam. There we go. If there's one thing that I don't like about speed paints is that you don't really get a lot of what the artist was thinking out of it. I think it's a lot more interesting to see the process in regular speed. Even though it might take longer, I think it's a lot more in-depth. At least as an artist, I think to the average Joe, it doesn't really matter. That's fine. I mean, speed paints are cool, but I just feel that, you know, some images are extremely planned out, other images are very on the cuff. So, whenever something is off the cuff, on the cuff, off the cuff, I don't remember. I have a really big stomach there. Have that circle be really big, maybe even an oval. Have it take up a lot of the frame, like so. Let's add butt in pants in the background for good measure. Have a leg go in this direction, and then in this direction the framing cuts it off. You can add a tail if you want. I mean, it doesn't, I think it would take away from this image, so I'm just going to have this character not have a tail. That's the great thing about being someone who doesn't really have too many, qualms about the subject matter. Or doesn't care too much about the subject matter. It's just as long as the image itself looks okay. I'm losing my breath. I'm losing my breath. I know what I'll do. I'll smoke. Yeah, that's good. Alright. Let's start with the eyes. That's always an important thing. Boom. Eye number 1. Second eye. Boom. I know this is like a very evil kind of character, what with the whole hunting and all, but I don't know. I think the very submissive passive eyes make it kind of a little bit more disturbing. Maybe even make the character look a little tired. Maybe I'm just channeling my inner self through this character, who knows? Mary Sue Gary Stew, who cares? I say who cares a lot to fill in gaps. It's very strange. Never noticed that before. I don't think anyone really needs to care, though. I think if you're too prideful of what you do, some pride is necessary in order to get stuff, motivated and done. But I think too much pride in the aftermath is a bad thing, because that can hinder future progress. Let's just add some score marks into that eye, like that. That way you can tell that that eye is fucked up. Let's add an eyebrow there, an eyebrow that's segmented there. Long ass nose. There we go. And let's do the hair. My favorite part. My favy. There we go. Boy, howdy. Kind of ends up looking like an afro, but a lot of hair is really puffy when you decide to go for that kind of art style. Boy, oh boy. What a day. I think after this I'm going to take a bath, loosen up my joints. been exercising a lot recently, and if you exercise, taking a hot bath will actually loosen up a lot of your muscles. Otherwise, you'll just feel like you got cramps all the time. There we go. Goodness, how far we've come. I guess before I finish, we should do a little roundup, see what we've drawn, and then pack it up. Okay, there we go. Add another line there because it's a pocket. Oop. Maybe add just a little bit of an under button and an over button. There. Add that together. Add some lines. Have a little line underneath. Add kind of like the zipper line. Okay. Let's add like it's like a vest, I guess. So there we go. Add a line there. Bring this out. Add those little marks there as well. I guess this outfit was used a lot more by this character. Here, there, line, line, boom. Add some lines there, lines there. Finish up those lines. Bring it across. Have that kind of intersect. I kind of messed up, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. No one's going to really notice or care. Well, you might. You know my dirty little secret of how horrible that looks to me. But everyone else will be fine with it. Unless they watch this video. I guess I'm just fucked all around. Dun dun dun. There we go. That's looks good enough. Bam, 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 boom, and a pow. Okay, what's next? It's ending up looking a lot more like the weird ranking system of the Empire than fucking little bandolier on the chest, but whatever. That would be some kind of weird thing there. Add some lines across. Boom, boom, boom. Add a seam line to the vest there. Yeah. We'll fill this in black. We can get the other pen. Fill this in black. my style isn't perfect. I don't think it's really meant to be. I think it's a very meaty, punchy, crunchy kind of style. You know what? A lot of people might say, oh, well, just because you say it's a style just looks like shit. And I'm like, I mean, yeah, to me, my art kind of looks like shit, but, I think I'm getting a little better. I'd like to assume so. But, not everyone can fucking draw. And not everyone can draw photorealistically. I don't think in a modern age where cameras exist, I don't think you need to draw photorealistically. I think creating some kind of fantasy is much more interesting than trying to make something try to look 100% real. If you can make an approximation that feels like it could exist, I don't think you really need to make something that's perfect. I mean, shit. Do you really think that South Park or Family Guy would be any better by being photorealistic? Do you think regular show would be? I don't know. I'm just pulling shows off the top of my head. I don't know what the fuck the popular shows are now. I don't watch TV, so that's probably a contributing factor. Just too many fucking commercials. The point is, if you have a simplistic style, like maybe the Powerpuff Girls or some shit like that, as long as the content, as long as the meat and potatoes of it is good, I think the imagery itself, doesn't really matter. And if something has a point, you try to find the art style that fits that point. I'm just rambling, filling up time, filling up space on some hard-working fucker's computer somewhere in like YouTube's archive system, which is probably huge fucking room. They're like, oh, some weirdo made a fucking drawing video. Hooray! It's an hour long. At least it's a lot better than the fucking B-movie meme videos. That's literally wasted space. The B-movie, but every single time they say B, I sniff a fart. Ugh. Thank you for littering the space that somebody has to store videos on with this fucking garbage. Sure, some of them are funny. Haha, yeah. This one is funny and poignant, and then all of the other ones will be just repetitive garbage. Sometimes people will make the same exact video over and over, and it's like, wow, good job, guys. You do realize this takes up space somewhere in a hard drive in some kind of fucking Google nightmare facility. Eventually, these companies are gonna run out of fucking space and they're gonna start deleting shit. I wouldn't be surprised if they've already done that. That or start making people pay for the space that they're taking up. I guess maybe in the future I could have guests on or something. That way you don't have to constantly hear me try to rattle off shit that I want to talk about. Ugh, sorry. God damn it. There we go. Little pouches. Kind of like the same pouches that are on. By the way, I've had a utility belt on me, and they're very inefficient storage units. Mainly because they're a pain in the ass to actually use. Granted, the ones I'm using have really weird opening and closing mechanisms in place. It's like more of a latch than like Velcro or something, but I'll tell you what, it's a pain in the butt to get stuff out of that. And the boop. And the boop. You know what? I forgot to pencil in a belt. Let's just do that right now. And belt. And then a buckle. There we go. Doesn't actually need to make any fucking logical sense whatsoever. I don't think a lot of machinists or belt buckle enthusiasts actually enjoy what I draw, so boom. And then maybe add just a tiny semblance of hip on the other side. Okay, so we got the foreground character done. Maybe add a little detail there, a little tiny detail there. And maybe a little line where the epaulets would be. Alright. So that's the foreground image. Finish up the background image, and then I am fucking done. I might bullshit a little bit. Maybe do a little Q&A. If you have any questions for me, put it in the chat. I'll read it off. But yeah, I'm just running out of shit to talk about, so once again, got any questions, put them in the comments section. Not the comments section. Well, yeah, you know what? For future videos, if you're watching this post it being live, leave a comment in the comments section so that I can answer your questions. Okay. There we go. Eyelash, eyelash, nose, mouth, cheek. And just draw the rest of that. Bam. And then bring it back up the other side. There we go. Draw a little line there. Line coming across the top. Boom. Shirt, arm, hand. You don't need to be the best person drawing hands. They just need to resemble what looks like a hand. I mean, just look at the fucking original print of Yu-Gi-Oh! Their hands look terrible in that, but you know what? I still like those books. Because once again, It really doesn't matter what the imagery is as long as the story is really good. Imagery should enhance a story. It should not be a story on its own. Oh, something's funny in the background. Go. Like that. I know for a fact that the moment this is no longer live and someone's gonna comment on it, they're gonna be like, this is the worst thing ever because you draw the balloon people. You know what? You know what I say to that? Okay. So, there's like actual murder videos online on YouTube. Like, if you look up attack helicopter footage, that's like footage of people actually dying and stuff. And then you look at this, and suddenly it doesn't seem so fucking bad in comparison, does it? Oh man, cartoonish, fucking cartoon exaggerations, or, actual suicide video of a politician. And those exist on YouTube. I think I'm trying to be a little bit more lighthearted than, I'm trying to be a little bit more lighthearted, so I don't want to actually reference what it is, but trust me, it exists on YouTube, and nobody's taking it down, so... Strange. They could have like the political suicide of a guy on YouTube, but far be it from the news to actually show any violence. I don't get it. I think it's a strange standard. Maybe YouTube just hasn't caught on to the video being online, but I think they have, and they're just like, fuck it. It gets us views. We will use this to add revenue, and if anyone gives a shit about it, we will delete it, but keep the revenue. I can't paint YouTube extremely evil, though. They're giving me the opportunity to talk my bullshit to an audience. I do have a circle stencil sheet, which allows me to draw perfect circles. However, it is not big enough to do this image. Not only that, it's more of an oval or an ellipse, as smart people like to call it. So have it be a little bit rougher looking. Bam. Or my fucking emerald. Bam! Look at that shit inflate. I don't know. Pants. Leg. Leg up here. And I would say that's done. Let's frame this up real nice and neat for the camera. Let's put our fucking seal of approval on it. Whoop. Yeah, once again, the C isn't working. Let's just go overboard with the size of this C. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Live 2017. Alright. I would say this image is complete. All I need to do is, erase the pencil lines. They're not going to really show up on camera here. You might see just a little bit there. but we're just going to go through the roundup. So we have this picture, we have this action hero picture, and then we have this comic. Super simple comic, first half, second half, and that's about it. I would like to thank you guys for watching. Once again, final time I'm going to say it. This was a test. See how streaming would go. Hopefully this works out. Hopefully the microphone isn't too shitty. If not, I can always get a better one. I do have another one, but it was just a pain in the ass to set this up. So with that, I bid you a farewell. And yeah, we're just going to go to